Peace and blessings. Greetings. This is Sissy Yatira, the First Lady of Heart Money Network, here with another self-improvement conversation. And today's topic of discussion, as you see, is marriage. And this is of course, like disappointment, this is a wide topic. Sister Felicia, peace and blessings, beloved. Thank you for jumping on this morning. This is a wide topic, marriage. And this is something that, of course, we're not gonna be able to even cover a lot, but I just am sharing, as these different thoughts, because again, it's like as I'm going through my day-to-day life and I'm having my own thoughts and going through my own things and the emotions or the epiphanies, that's what I wanted to say, the epiphanies or the realizations of certain things. When it comes to my mind, I'm like, oh wow, that was deep, oh that was useful, that was really good, in terms of that kind of understanding. When understanding comes, period, when God blesses you with understanding, it's a beautiful thing, and it takes us from where we were and it gives us that step. His understanding is like, a block that we can step on to take us to another level. And so functioning from a higher level, that's what it's about. Keep climbing higher, because doesn't God tell us that he is from above while we are from beneath? Assalamu alaikum, Sister Lisha. Welcome. Right? So he says that he is from above and we are from beneath. So if he grants us understanding and we take his law, wa alaikum salam, sis, we take his law and we submit to it, without understanding first. We're down here and we submit to what he says. That takes us up, right? Just in our submission. We still may not know why we're doing it. We still don't understand why his laws are what they are. But in our submission, that's the first step. And then in our submission comes understanding. And when he grants us the understanding, that takes us like a boom, 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 like another few steps, because now we are submitting to those laws now out of love. Like, now I understand why these things are in order. It makes sense. And then now we love it more. We do it more willingly. And then the understanding, like I said, takes us to new levels, because now we understand why his laws are in place. So the same thing when it comes to topics like marriage, in life, period. So if our thoughts are beneath, but we are submitting and then being given understanding, now we are growing into his thinking. Because if he gives us his understanding, now we don't just do it just because, I'm just going to do it because you told me to do it. Now I'm doing it because I understand why you want me to do it. Now we're getting into his thinking, right? And so those steps is bringing us into submission, brings us into his thinking, which brings us into the mind of God, which is where the eventual goal is, right? Being one with him. And marriage is a beautiful side of this, or is a beautiful part of this journey. In fact, we say in Islam that marriage is half of our faith, because it is only when we are with the mate that, in our partnerships that God gives us. Marriage is a divine ceremony. It comes from God. That's not a man-made thing. He has created man and woman for one another. And so we can say, why did he do that? And we might say just peace, LJ Jewelers. And we might say, well, yeah, he did it so we could be fruitful and multiply. Okay, yeah. But what about on a self-development tip? How, if I stay a single woman for all of my life, then how will I understand another human being, right? Or the males, right? If I'm only just myself as a woman, or if a man just goes through his life just as a man, how do we get to evolve humanity not fully understanding the other partner, right? And obviously this is just me thinking about it for myself. There's, I'm probably not even scratching the surface of the elements of marriage, but the thought that came to me that inspired this conversation, the epiphany that I was having, right? So, marriage has its ups and downs, and there's times where it may appear easier to basically not do your own thing, but the terminology, I guess that's best is, or just a scenario. So there's been times for me where I have struggled with dealing with the emotions that arise in me. And then, when you're dealing with the man, the man got an ego, right? And so sometimes, no, sir. And sometimes that causes I found myself anyways, it caused me to say less at times because I wanted to avoid the conflict, right? Or in my mind, it was going to cause a conflict when sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it might, but the end result had always been good where a level of understanding came from it. After the conversation, regardless of what it was about, if there was misunderstanding as we were trying to straighten it out, as we were trying to hear each other's side, once we got to the point where, okay, I see what you're saying, it allowed other things to come out. It allowed us to iron out and talk about things that we otherwise probably wouldn't have been able to address head on, because sometimes it's the subtleties. Sometimes it's the things that are, they kind of go unnoticed or they go unseen. But by me trying to avoid a specific conversation, I was avoiding all these other conversations, right? And so, but by having the conversation, not only did we get to deal with whatever I was bringing, but we got to deal with other things. And then, like I said, it was a beautiful thing. The Holy Quran says, I'm just paraphrasing, but it talks about when a man and a woman both want harmony, God is gonna give that to them. And so for me, that has been a guiding principle for me, because if two people desire peace with one another, if that's what our heart intentions are, but just the difficulty factor of conversations and emotions are present, he's going to grant us that ease if we're willing to take the necessary course to get there, right? And so as I was thinking yesterday, I was like, wow, I can't allow myself to not be my best self, right? Because just being honest, this is self-improvement. I'm just being honest. There's times where I feel like, you know what, I'm not going to do, in terms of, I'm not going to have these conversations. I'm just going to be to myself. If I see something, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to get involved. I'm not going to stress myself out, this, that, and the third. But yesterday, as I was thinking about a couple of different things, I was like, wow, here I am as a wife, and my duty as a wife is to, number one, keep my duty to God first and foremost. And what does that look like? The things that I'm supposed to be doing, to upkeep myself. But in my submission to God, I'm a helpmeet. And so I have to help make the man that God intends for my husband to be. I have to help in that area. Because men and women are just different. And so that insightfulness, that intuition that women have, this is a natural gift that God gives us. And we, of course, still have to cultivate and develop ourselves. But if I'm here to help my husband, well, then I can't withdraw my hand. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Jason. Then I can't withdraw my hand from the help just because I don't want to deal with certain things. And so as I was thinking, I was like, wow, as I keep my duty to God, you know what I'm saying? I have to continue to work on this in my new walk. I know that's right, sis. But it's a daily struggle. But the self-improvement part is what it comes down to. Because again, when we get to mastering self, no, sir. it helps us to prepare for the next journey. It doesn't mean that the next journey is going to be fully easy, but if we have been practicing on looking in the mirror and dealing with our own realities and dealing with our own vices and our own negative thoughts and things, as we deal with those by ourselves, then when we have the mate, and this is from experience for myself too. This is actually my second marriage. So I was married and I divorced back. Lay down. No, sir. Lay down. Lay down. And I divorced back in 2016 when it was final. Right? So, and then didn't get married until 2019. So in that time of trial for me, in that time, I was adamantly working on myself. You know, looking at the previous marriage and seeing these are things that I didn't like about myself, right? Not focusing on what he did and this, that, and the third, focusing on where I could have been better. So with that being my focus, I was able to get those stepping stones, heal, deal, heal some more, deal some more, heal some more, right? And trust God in the process. And that brings me to where I am in this marriage where, okay, don't do this. These are the things that you need to be doing. Don't think like this. This is the way that you need to be thinking. Don't take these actions, take these actions, right? So it had been a level of trial and error where now the focus is solely on keeping my duty first and foremost to God. And that's a beautiful thing to be, for me personally. I can say that being an MGT, which means an MGT is a Muslim girl in training, we actually have a class, a women's class, right? They don't have these things in the public school and not even in these colleges. They don't have these kind of curriculums where we have a how to take care of your husband class, right? And it is because of that class that I was able to identify things in myself and say, peace and blessings, paint 101. Not to say that, but to identify things in myself to say, oh, if I want a man like this, well, I have to be a wife like this. I can't focus solely on, I need my husband to be, he need to be like this, and he got to have this characteristic, and he got to be like that. But me, whatever I am is whatever I am. You just get what you get, but brother, you need to be like this. No. And so when I got that understanding, my whole focus, I refocused or shifted my focus. I was no longer focused on trying to piece apart what kind of man I wanted. Wa alaikum salam, beautiful. Thank you. I'm a reflection of you. I was no longer focusing on depicting and picking apart what kind of man I wanted. I said, Lord, I don't want to pick him. I don't want to do that. I don't want to make that mistake again. I want you to give to me. No, sir. No, sir. I want you to give to me the man that you have created for me, the man that you intend for me. That's what I want. That's who I want. And so my focus was no longer looking out. I mean, I'm not peeking. I'm not paying the brother side attention, right? Because I'm like, I got to be. And I remember the exact class. We were actually talking about Mother Khadijah and Farrakhan. And we were reading about Mother Khadijah and the type of woman that she has been for her husband, and the pains and the processes and the birthing pains that she has endured to give birth to a Farrakhan. Because in essence, that's what we as women do. We have a physical womb that we actually bore life through. But in being a wife, we are a covering for our husband as he is for us. We are protection for our husband as he is for us. And so there's a process of us having to go through certain pains and certain things. But if we endure it properly, and if we keep our duty to God, then he can guide us in submission when he tells us to do certain things, when there's certain things that we know we're supposed to be doing. By us doing these things, well, we help with the male and his ego. We help with the man and his perspective, because sometimes when we look at different situations, the man sometimes is looking at the surface level of things, and even if he's looking at things and he's going deeper into it, it's still not really from a spiritual side. It's not from at times, it's not always from that unseen, that intuition type of gift that God has given to us. But if I'm negating my duty and I'm like, I ain't finna deal with him, he wanna do that, do that, brother. I ain't worried about what you doing. Well, then I'm not doing my part as a wife. I'm not being a helpmeet, not just to help this man meet his goals, but I'm also a helpmeet to God, because he is the man over my life. I am a woman. I belong to God. So by me belonging to God, my duty is to him. So I cannot negate my duty to my husband. Isn't that something, man? God got this thing lined up just right, And so in class, though, we were reading, and, the minister, he himself, right? The bridge. That's right. The minister talks about how his wife was actually, how she's basically been the perfect wife for him. And it is because of her that he is the man that he is today. And in class that day, this is back in like 2014, in class that day, we were told, and as we were reading, that, this was actually our regional captain, Sister Anya, who said it, and it just stuck with me, and it still is with me today. And she says, if you want a man like Farrakhan, you got to be a woman like Khadijah. Oh, and that thing hit so different. I said, dang, that's deep. Because Mother Khadijah, when just the stories and that we've heard, her love and her ability to withstand and do what's necessary regardless of what the circumstances are, and doing it without complaining. Ooh, marriage is deep. I can't even, because with the complaining side of it, wow, there's so much into that, because I could tell you stories on how I was understanding that, where, no, I'm just gonna, I'm just trying to be a good wife, and I'm just not gonna, bring this up. I'm not gonna, no. There's definitely a balance. There's definitely a balance. And so, but while they were in a poor state, she didn't put pressure on the minister to have the finer things in life. She wasn't trying to put her husband in debt so she could live comfortably. She made the best out of what was given to her, and she was an amazing helpmeet to him. She was a secretary for him as he was rebuilding the nation. This is big work. And then at this time, I don't even know how many children they had at this time, but when he came into the ranks, they had already had one, and I think another may have been on the way or soon after. But Mother Khadijah had given birth to 9 children to the minister, right? And so these are just things that have helped me to refocus my mind and put my own mind in a better mindset as I'm still growing in this space. Marriage is a daily thing, a moment by moment thing, but a beautiful thing nonetheless. Even those difficult days, because of the way that this is set up. We're told struggle is ordained, but the struggle brings out the best in me. The struggle brings out the best in him. And so long as we're going to keep our duty to God, which is why that being equally yoked is so important. That is so important. But that comes back to why I said, for me, I said, God, I don't want to choose my husband. I need you to give, because if it's the man that you sent for me, then you knew exactly what I needed. You know exactly where I fall short. You know exactly where he falls short. You know exactly where we complement one another. So if you give me the man that you have for me, well, then all we got to do is submit to you, because you will guide us through how we need to properly handle one another. It's that simple. It's simple, but that doesn't always mean easy. But that's where self-improvement comes into place. Because so long as we're always willing to rise above emotions into the thinking of God, as we started this conversation, well, then the process the bumps are in the road, but it becomes that much more smoother along the way. The rewards start coming quicker. You see it, and it becomes second nature. It becomes a flow. We become one with God, right? So it's an exciting journey. It's so beautiful. And then there was a thought that I just had that kind of flew away, and maybe it'll come back. But when it comes to, it was going to be something about obviously marriage. I don't know, but this is just really exciting to me, because having these conversations, I think, is just so important, because we go through different things, we internalize things the way that we do, we think about them how we think about them. And I think sometimes these kind of conversations to say, well, I wasn't alone with that. I thought about that, but sometimes I didn't have the strength to see this through. And there's been sisters for me where it's like, nah, this is not something I'm going to be able to deal with, but I have spoken, I've got counseling, and they are explaining to me the insight of it, the things that I have no knowledge of, or, I haven't experienced. So by also listening to the wisdom of another woman who's been married for years that can give us guidance, submitting to it, listening, calling. And so that leads me to this part of the conversation, that we have to learn to talk, not to gossip, not to slander. And it's not even totally about venting, but because the first person to go to is God. I'm so adamant about this. Yeah, there's people that we go to that we trust, that we can talk to, and they can give us guidance. Absolutely. But I'm a firm believer, especially where marriage is concerned, because that is so intimate. That is so intimate. And you never want to, as women, we are protections for our husbands. So you never want to taint the image of the man that you love because y'all are having a disagreement or a moment of whatever. You want to protect his image. So first, take it to God. That's really where you get the emotional part out. Why? Because you're listening to the best knower, the best listener, the best human being that can actually answer your problems, hear you, know who you are, right? There's a chapter in the Holy Quran called The Pleading Woman. Oh my goodness. I didn't bring the Quran here this morning. And I thought about it, but I didn't bring it in here. But there's a chapter in the Holy Quran called The Pleading Woman. And he says that I hear you. I hear the complaints of both of you. Man, what a merciful God. And so the beautiful thing about going to him in prayer is that there's no judgment. It's a judge-free zone. And so when we go to him first about these things, like I said, it takes that emotional energy off, because we can go to him and we can be raw outright. We can talk to him. We can cry. We can let it out. Now that we didn't talk to him, there's a certain level of peace that comes over us. Can anybody bear me witness? Have you experienced that? And that doesn't even have to just be with marriage, but when you take a difficult subject, a difficult issue, a difficult situation, and when you take it to God first, and truly at any point, but I say first because I believe that this is where we will be strengthened at. Hashim, assalamu alaikum, brother. I think that this is where we will be strengthened at if we take our things to him first. And then, because he does answer our prayers through the hands of other human beings, of course. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so we got some people bearing witness. Brother Jason said yes. My sister, she said yes. Sister Felicia said yes, right? So if we take it to him first, then we are able to get that off of us. And now we are able to deal with it in a proper state of mind. Because he blesses us with the peace that I have been heard by the best knower, by the possessor of power over all things. He heard me. I went to him first. Now let me be still. If I need to sit down a moment and gather my thoughts, if I need to take some time, but now that I know that he's, he will answer me, whether it's a thought in our own head of what to do, say, or whatever next, or if you may get a phone call after you get it from prayer. Hey, sis, I was just thinking about you. Hey, bro, I was just thinking about you. It was on my mind. I wanted to see how you was doing. Or I was reaching out to you because I was just reading this. You know, I'm home and I'm just cleaning up and I was listening to the minister and I thought about you when he was talking about this, and they just say what you needed to hear. God works like that. But sometimes he waits to give us that. He wants for us to go to him first because he is the author of our life. He is over our lives. So if we get in the habit of going to him first, hey, everything else comes. The peace that passes all understanding. Come on, sis. So I think, I think, like I said, marriage is a big topic, and this is something that we could just keep going. Because marriage is a journey. You know, the minister talks about how we don't say that we are married, because that, you know, that denotes that we have crossed the finish line. Brother Nuri talks about this as well. And so, but we are on a journey. It's an ever going, ever winding, ever living journey of man and woman, that triangle, right? He, she, coming together, working together in love and unity, in duty to God, and becoming one with him, right? So, like I said, marriage is a deep one, but as I'm going through my own self-improvement, and like I said, when I find myself thinking like that, I'm not for the deal. No. You have to go through the difficulty, sister. You have to go through the difficulty. Go through it. And I'm going to close with this. This used to be on my Facebook banner. Like if you go to my Facebook page now and go to my banner and scroll through, it's up there still. It's one of my most favorite, I don't know if I can say favorite, but a quote coming from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And he says, women, you have the ability, she can save her husband provided she acts wisely. And there's more to that, but that is the essence of the statement. And when I read it, you know, you can only imagine the different thoughts, you know, the evolution of thought, if you will, because I think I read that before being married my second time. And my understanding of that was one thing, but continues to evolve, because sometimes we might see something in our mates, and as again, men and women are different, and we may want to just outright come and say it. You need to do this, but that's not always the best way for any person. But again, in particular, a man, because the male ego, boy, I tell you, I'm learning about this thing. But the beauty about it, like I said, is, but that's the desire. If the desire for the woman is to help this man, if I can be a saving grace to him, that doesn't necessarily have to mean outright his life. You know, I'm not out there as a superwoman jumping in front of buses to save him. But if we know that, the minister just talked about desolation coming before destruction, right? But if the male ego is so strong that he's not willing to see things on his own or whatever, that we have to be willing to help this man to the best of our ability to save him from maybe his own self. But if we're not going to act wise, and who is the author of wisdom? Wisdom does not come from your little sister Yatira X. Absolutely not. But in my submission to God, as I am going through my own life and going through my own journeys and struggles, then I'm experiencing different things that God has blessed me with, a level of insight and just a degree of understanding, though small, you know. And I just believe in sharing it. We can help change this world faster. Just faster. Because a lot of people have a hard time, I'm saying from experience, dealing with self. Because it's hard to deal with self. It's so easy to look out and point and say what somebody else is doing, not doing, and why I can't do because of what somebody else has done or did, right? But if we encourage each other and if we inspire each other to be better, because I'm striving to be better. Every single day, I'm striving to be better. In order for me to come before you all on a daily stream. Do you know I have not missed a Fajr prayer? Fajr prayer is our early morning prayer. You know, Muslims, we pray 5 times a day. And so I remember I was telling y'all prayer on one of our prayer self-improvement discussions. I have been slacking on my prayers, right? So I don't even know what day this is. It's got to be like day, I don't know, in the teens, you know. And so I have not missed a prayer. So look at, I am improving every single day. I got to get better. I have to read more because I'm not on here. The purpose of me being on here is not to be on here talking of myself. That is not the intention. That's not the goal. And I will not allow myself to become that. And how do I do it? I keep that prayer. That has, if I'm not making my prayer, I'm not going to be able to come on here and speak to y'all. And again, I'm going from, not from a life coach and a teaching perspective. I'm just being your sister and giving my own life. That's why it's a self-improvement. These are my testimonies, but I'm just sharing my journey because that was the example that was given to me. When the minister speaks, he speaks from his life experiences. When he talks about hypocrisy, he can give real life examples from his own perspective. When he talks about the emotions, you know, being upset, being angry, being disappointed, he talks about it from a personal thing, not just he never condemns. He never sits from a position of I am better and you need to listen to me. No, he walks with you. I've been there. He says all the time, I don't come out of heaven and I didn't come from heaven and come down to the earth. No, I'm coming up out of hell just like you. And so by him showing us that I can walk with God and I can raise above the conditions of this world and be in heaven here on earth while I'm alive, then he's telling us that you too can do the same if you follow the process of self-improvement. So, like I said, marriage can have 15,000 parts. But that's going to be it for today. This has been a beautiful discussion. I thank you all for joining us today. I will have, if you all are seeing on my YouTube channel and on Facebook, what I'm doing is I'm taking the ones that have already aired, the live conversation that we've already had, and I'm just replaying them on YouTube and Facebook and keeping that going so more people can hopefully listen in. And whether they come to the lives, that is so irrelevant. If the messages are helping people, then that's the goal. That's the goal, that people are inspired to focus more on themselves. So for those of you that have shared your testimony with me and shared with me how it has helped you, I tell you day in and day out, I thank you, because it is those testimonies that helped me keep going when I started. I'm like, Lord, please let me know that I'm doing the right thing. And I truly believe that this is what he has me doing, because my heart is created for not just love, but love for him and love for his people. So that's it for me. I love you. Thank you for tuning in with me. And I will see you all tomorrow morning at 7:00 a.m. Peace and blessings. Have a wonderful day. This is your sister, Yatira X, First Lady of Fart Money Network, signing off. Peace. Bye.